All right, we're ready to get started. Call the meeting to order, and if I could have everybody just take one quick moment and check your phones, please, and see if they'll get your ring on silent or off, please. We'll have a pledge of allegiance to our flag and then a moment of prayer. Wanted to let anybody here know that our clerk, Rhonda Wood, her mother's ill in the hospital, and we're hoping for a miracle to happen in her world, so y'all keep her in your prayers. If you would, let's go ahead and stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father, we come to you once again asking for your guidance as we conduct our county business this evening. Lord, I'm so thankful and grateful for all your many blessings, for all the wonderful weather that you've let us enjoy here recently. Be with us, give us wisdom and understanding, Lord, and throughout all of this, I pray mostly for your blessings, and that anything that we accomplish that we'll do it in your name. It is in your name we do pray. Amen. All right. I'll start with the approval of our minutes. We've had several meetings that we need to approve minutes for. The first will be from a public hearing on July 10th. I'll be looking for a motion in a second on that one.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
And I have a second. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, Commissioner Allen.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. The second set was from a regular business meeting on July 10th. And you all have a copy of that. You'll notice that these minutes include the ordinances, and there are some accompanying documents that went with that for your edification. But the minutes, once you've had a chance or if you've looked at them already, we'll take a motion to approve those as well.
So moved, Chairman.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
And I have a second. Any discussion on these? Commissioner Strickland?
Yes.
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 All right. And then we have our last set of minutes that we need to approve. This was a special call meeting on July 18th. I'll wait for your motion on that.
Motion to approve, Chairman.
I have a motion to approve. So I have a second.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion here? Commissioner Bettis?
Abstain.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right. I assure you those 3 meetings didn't go that quick. All right. Business involving gas groups. We have a lady, Ms. Kimberly Lubowitz, here tonight. She's going to make a short presentation on the Cancer Foundation, if you would, please.
I'm going to kind of talk to both sides of the room, so I didn't want to put my back to anyone, but I just wanted to thank you for this opportunity to come and speak about the Cancer Foundation. The Cancer Foundation is a local nonprofit organization that provides financial assistance to cancer patients while they're going through treatment. Our mission is to help alleviate the financial burden of cancer, and we do that by helping cancer patients pay their bills. We serve 19 counties in northeast Georgia. Specifically, we started back in 2009 serving 10 counties, and Madison County has always been one of the original counties that we have served. I believe the Cancer Foundation is very unique for quite a few reasons. The first reason being that the Cancer Foundation was actually started by a group of physicians at University Cancer Blood Center. It was a group of oncologists that found that their patients were calling back in 2007 saying, I can't afford the gas to get there, or if I get there I can't afford my copay, I'm not able to work because I'm having to get treatment, and my caregiver, my husband, my wife, they're not able to work either because they're having to bring me to treatment. And at that time, they were saying, I'm just not going to come. And the physician said, there's not an option. You can be cured for cancer, you can live with cancer, you can survive cancer. But if you can't get there because of your financial means, then, that's a bigger problem. We know that we've come really far with research that the patients that we serve feel like they don't have access to that treatment. So the physicians hired me in January of 2008, so that's about 9.5 years ago. I was the first employee that was hired with the foundation, and what we did is we really looked at the community. Our office is based in Athens, but we looked in Clark County, Oconee, and all of the outlying communities to see where was their need. And patients were a huge need, especially patients that are coming from Madison or Hartwell, all the way up around Walton County, Barrow County. Gas. Gas was the biggest thing. If you have a diagnosis and you have to have radiation treatment, you could be in treatment for 6 weeks minimum, 5 days a week. We're talking 32, 36 miles each way that you're having to drive. And it is not an option for a patient not to be able to get treatment. So we came together and decided that we would fulfill our mission of alleviating that burden by paying for transportation, rent, utilities, medication, durable medical equipment, insurance copays, and insurance premiums. And that first year, 2009, that was the first calendar year that we gave financial assistance. We gave away $40,000 in financial assistance. We're extremely proud of that. We're a young organization. We knew that we were filling a need with $40,000. Fast forward to 2016, last year, we gave $242,000 away in financial assistance. So if you take from 2009 to 2016, I'll do the math, I know it's the end of the evening, that's over $1 million that has been provided directly to patients. And when I say directly, that means the patient says, I cannot afford my utility bill, I cannot afford my rent, I cannot afford the gas. We will then take their application that we get from a social worker in the oncologist's office, and we'll say, okay, you've been approved for assistance, we are going to pay Walton EMC, and we pay creditor owed directly. This makes sure that we're good stewards of donors' dollars, but it also is one less thing for that patient to worry about. So a patient applies to us, they more than likely, they've waited, they're stressing, they're saying, I was trying to figure out how I was going to pay this bill. They're already facing disconnection. So we want to try to make sure that we get directly to the creditor that's owed so that there's not a chance of a disconnection or having to pay a late fee. We're also, not only are we impressed because of the amount of money we've given or that we directly help patients, we do it all within 48 hours. So if a patient is sent to us from a social worker and radiation or the chemo office and they say this patient really needs help today, we can do it that day for patient disconnection. But the standard time is 48 hours that we turn it around. It does not do anyone any good, especially a patient or their caregiver, who it often falls on to figure out what they're going to do about this bill, if they're having to wait 30 days to make a decision. We know that they're still going to be stressed. It is stressful to have cancer. We know that they're still going to be stressed because it's this one bill that they're asking for help about. But if we can help alleviate that one stress for them about that one bill and provide them something positive and hopeful, especially in the short time frame, we've done our job. We often hear from caregivers saying, well, the patient didn't really know how bad it was, or the patient didn't really know how behind we were. So, our first goal was to alleviate the stress of the cancer patient, but what we found was we were actually alleviating the stress of the whole household, that it was actually the caregiver that was saying, I didn't know what I was going to do about that. And I mentioned that we provide gas cards. So those gas cards, they come on a little gift card. We mail them directly to a patient. We call every patient that gets help from us to let them know that A, we've paid the bill, or B, we're putting a gas card in the mail so they can watch their mailbox, make sure that it's coming, and they can only purchase gas with us. So these aren't able to buy alcohol or lottery tickets or things like that. So we feel like we were really able to intentionally get that help that the patient needs. We also do not have a lifetime cap. So say we're talking about people that live with cancer. A metastatic breast cancer patient we have helped since 2009. She applies to us every year, and she's able to get help because she's still dealing with her diagnosis. We have another patient that flies to MD Anderson in Houston every July. She has acute leukemia, and she has to buy a plane ticket. Every July, she asks for us to pay her rent so she can purchase her plane ticket. And so we've been able to help her out through her whole entire cancer journey. All the patients, once they get help from us, of course, I mentioned they get a phone call that says, you've been approved for financial assistance from the Cancer Foundation. 2 weeks later, they get a follow-up phone call from a group of volunteers that work with us that say, how are you? How are you feeling? Do you still need financial assistance? And we're able to provide them for the resources in their individual county if they continue to need help. We want to make sure that we're letting them know that there's still help available out there, that someone still cares about their financial assistance. This year, we set a goal to provide $300,000 in financial assistance. That's almost a $60,000 increase over what we did in 2016. And the first half of this year, we've provided $191,000. So we feel that not only are we going to reach that $300,000 of giving strictly to patients, but we're going to exceed that goal. So we feel like, well, that's a need. $300,000 in our community in Northeast Georgia. One thing that I get often asked is, how are you different? How are you different from leukemia and lymphoma? How are you different from American Cancer Society? Those are all wonderful, wonderful organizations that do great things for research. They do great things about prevention, education. One thing I think that makes the Cancer Foundation very different is that all of the money stays here and it's in our community. Not only that, we provide direct financial assistance. That's all we do. We don't fund research. We don't fund education. We have found our niche. We want to make sure that we make an impact on patients when they need it the most. And so that's why we feel like, okay, our mission is to alleviate the financial burden. The best way we can do it is help cancer patients pay their bills. Just this past holiday season, I got a card from a patient who made a donation, and he said, I will give to you every single year because I got help when I needed it, and I know that this will go directly to someone I know. It's very impactful to know that you can directly affect helping somebody by paying their bill. So that's the biggest question that I normally get from people is, what is the difference? So we're local, we have all the money stays here, and it directly goes to patients. And of course, everybody wants to know how we've given over $1.2 million away in financial assistance. I'd really have to say that we are lucky. University Cancer Blood Center, which is an oncology clinic in Athens that most people would go to in Athens to get their treatment, they provide us with free office space. So I don't have to pay for building or lights or bucks or ink, pencils, pens, you name it. They provide us with everything that we need. Even though our assistance is not just for their patients. This group of physicians started this nonprofit. They are so incredibly generous. You could go to Gainesville to have your treatment. You could go to Emory to have your treatment. You could go to MD Anderson and have your treatment. But as long as you live in Northeast Georgia, you're able to receive the resources from us. We also, of course, get donations throughout the year, and then we host 2 large fundraisers, one being in March, which is a cocktail party, and one being in August called Try to Beat Cancer, which is actually at Sandy Creek Park. It's a sprint triathlon. 200 volunteers, 650 athletes, and close to probably another 500 spectators. It's the 3rd largest race in the state. So people come out and they do it in honor or in memory of people. A lot of times you'll see cancer survivors crossing the finish line, which is where I like to be stationed at the event, because it's a lot of hard work, but in that moment it's completely worth it to see so many people come from around Greenville, Charlotte, Atlanta. They'll all come to Athens to be able to participate in this race. They said it has a hometown feel. It's got a spirit about it that no other race has, so we feel really proud of that. People are understanding what our mission is. So I would encourage everyone to go to our website and check out the Cancer Foundation. It's www.csnega.org. My contact information is listed on there as well, so if you have questions, just wanted to let everyone know that we have provided over $110,000 to patients that are living in Madison County. Madison County is one of those counties in the last 2 years that we've seen the most growth in for patients asking for assistance, and I truly think that's just because people are finding out about the Cancer Foundation. The help was always needed, but people didn't know that the Cancer Foundation was there for them. So I would just really like to thank Teresa for giving me this opportunity. She was telling me this is a great way for us to get the information out there. If someone needs help, that they call the Cancer Foundation and they can directly ask us. We can work with the social workers in their offices. Of course, we always encourage everyone to like our Facebook page, join our mailing website, but become involved and know that there is a great need in our community for financial assistance, that people don't have access to it if they don't have the means to be able to get to it.
Wonderful.
Have a question?
Any questions?
Commissioner Allen, Commissioner Strickland, you can still sign up for the triathlon, by the way. It's only in 3 weeks.
I'm a golfer, you don't have a golf tournament.
There's tons of golf tournaments. It would be different.
Thank you for what you do.
Yeah, wonderful.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
It's
One
nice to
thing-
see it staying local too.
Yeah, and that's one thing we're trying to do is just to really bring awareness. People don't know what the Cancer Foundation is, and when you say the Cancer Foundation, it sounds like it's this big, huge organization, but we're actually tucked away in the second floor in our oncology office, and so we're trying to make an impact and do good in this community.
Very good.
Thank you so much
Yes,
for
thank
coming
you so
out.
much
Yes.
for having me. Enjoyed our
Appreciate it.
And you may be excused. She's a mom of twins. How are they?
Trying to be back home.
Thank you.
Okay. The next we'll move into a report from the Industrial Development Building Authority, Mr. White.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. On my report tonight, the Georgia Renewable Power LLC has started on their plant over Calvert. Coming along with that, they have extended their contract until August 2019. They were supposed to be generating in 18. They got a 12-month extension, and I understand they probably paid out about $5 million liquidated damages because they're not doing what they was going to do. So, but they did extend the contract, so at least they got that done, and hopefully they'll come along and they'll have to be up and running quite some time before August, so they'll have to be doing power for them. We've been told that the solar farm down at Peola Junction there is fixing to start up there. They're going to get that started, get it going, and we'll soon see that come to pass. The contract on the 200 acres on the Calvert-Danielsville Road is still ongoing. A company is looking at putting 100 acres of solar panels on that parcel there, so that'll be a good thing for the county. The Blazer Hot Wings opened and is doing a great business in Madison County. We did our chamber coffee over at Jacob's Pizza on the 20th on Highway 72 there in Calvert. A business there has opened up where the Peach Pit Cafe barbecue thing used to be. They got great pizza, and it's a family business. I think they will take care of their customers. Of course, he's excited because this new business is going to help us generate sales tax for Madison County, so maybe we'll get that up some. Pamela Upson has opened WIZ LLC on Mill Creek Drive. That's on James Hawthorne Road there in Hull, and it's a children's learning and daycare facility. We certainly hope that'll do well. And I sent out a notice about ribbon cutting for the Wing House Grill down at Hull there. We're going to have a ribbon cut for them on Friday at 2 p.m. So if you come, we'd certainly appreciate you coming and supporting that business. And of course, we want to ask the Madison County residents to visit our many restaurants here located in Madison County. They got great food, so hopefully we'll see money spent there. Any questions?
I want to say again, we've got to have after hours instead of these morning coffees.
Well, we tried that before, it didn't work, I guess we could try it again.
I would love to help you try to make it work.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mark. All right, statements from remarks from citizens on items 6 and 7. If you don't have the agenda, that's discuss potential watercraft ordinance and consider poultry house buffer requirements. And I can tell you that the poultry house buffer requirements is kind of a follow-up to our previous meeting. We're just going to
basically approve a definition for that. If anybody would like to speak or make a comment on either of these two items, you have the floor. Please come on up, guys.
My name's Scott Edwards, and I'm representing a group of landowners on the Broad and Hudson River. And we're concerned about the commercial use of the river. And we've watched these businesses grow into an alarming number of people who are now on the river. And I believe we, all acknowledge that we have some sort of problem. The DNR, the county EMS, the county sheriff's department, all recognize that we have a situation. And it seems to stem from over alcohol use. And with over alcohol use comes the disrespect of property owners, the disrespect of the river itself. And we all know that the Broad River is probably the most precious natural resource that our county has. And we're also concerned about the overwhelming number of people who just are on it all the time. And we don't think that all people are responsible for the bad behavior. It's just a few people. I mean, it's just when you have, 1,000 people going down the river in a day, if 100 of them are misbehaving, we have a situation. So several of us landowners have been meeting for about a year, and we've been trying to figure out what we could do to help the outfitters and the county come up with a solution that would benefit everybody on the river. And so we researched other counties, what they've done around the state, and we crafted an ordinance. And we feel like this ordinance that we've crafted will be the first step to a solution to a problem. And I think that all y'all received a packet on Friday, I believe, and was able to go over that. And but we've been meeting for a long time, and we had a lawyer draw it up, and we're just hoping that it's a first step to this problem. And I just ask y'all to please adopt our ordinance, and thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Mr. Crowbot.
My name's Tom Crowbot, and I'm on 680 Parsons Road. And the group asked me earlier this week if I would share some experiences on river fronts that I have. I have river fronts that go to the Centerline River. I have a 2-acre island that I own, and it's just a great spot for people coming down the river. The property is well posted. I don't think you could put any more no trespassing signs up on that property. But I will tell you that there is a general disrespect for property rights on the river. I was on the river for 3 days. I have someone from out of town, my brother's in. And we fished that part of the river, and we spent about 3 hours in the morning, and it was kind of interesting to watch folks, basically trespass on your property. When you couple that with the fact that there's always people out there that if the speed limit's 70, they'll do 90. There's no question about that. But I do think as it relates to the trespassing that the outfitters have not really done a good job of informing people when you get out of that boat, you're probably on someone's property. They don't know that. And I had a chance to interface with a lot of folks. And they were great. The people I ran into, hey, we'll pick up the trash and whatever. And I said, you realize that you're on someone's property? And they said, no one ever told us. And I think that's pretty common. So there's two sides of that issue. When you have the trespassing, you also have a tremendous amount of trash. I cleaned up my island about 4 weeks ago, and I cleaned it up again on Friday. Picked up about 13 beer bottles and cans and assorted trash. And in case you're interested, the beer choice on a 5-to-1 margin is Bud Light. And that's what it is. In case anyone's taking, any marketing data here going forward. So you got some trespassing, you got some trash. Some of the people that live next to me have property stolen. Some of the people have had, believe it or not, we confronted with, you know, hey, will you please clean up the fact that you're on our property? There was an incident a week ago where someone just publicly urinated in front of a guy and his wife. Unacceptable behavior. People are drinking, a lot of people are partying. We had someone's house was broken into recently. There's some out of control behavior that's going on in the river. One of the developers some time ago, I asked, I said, you know, on a 3-day weekend, you know, like 4th of July, Labor Day, Memorial Day, you have good weather, how many boats you put in the river? He said 1,000. Damn, let me do the math on that. $25 a boat, that's 25 grand. Now, let me assume that your expenses are 20%, which would be pretty high. You just made $20,000 on one weekend. The developers have a very lucrative business, and in some cases, they know at the expense of property owners on the river. There needs to be some control. It's like the Wild West out there, really. Most of the people that are on the river that I confronted, if I'm down on the river, pretty nice. How you doing? Do me a favor. If you got trash, take it with you. And most of them will comply. However, some people are, you know, they're inebriated, they're trying to impress your girlfriend, and they'll really push back at you and give you a hard time, which is kind of unacceptable going forward. They're on your property, trying to be, you know, accommodating, and they give you a hard time when you ask them to clean up the stuff that they've got there. So I was agreed to come to the group. I've been here about 7 years. I've done a lot of river frontage. It's kind of crazy. The most appalling thing is I think, lack of education on the part of the people going down the river as to what is private and what is, you know, public property. The people that I talked to for 3 days, and there weren't that many, there might have been 8 or 10 groups, had no idea. I said, hey, do you have any idea that, you know, that property's private over there? Now, there was a big sign in front of one group from South Carolina. There were 15 of them. And if I'd taken a picture, the sign behind them would have said no trespassing, but they're on a set of rocks, they're on a sandbar, and they don't have any idea that that's private property. So there's some things that I think you can do here to help us. There's some things that I think the actors can do to help themselves. Because it's a lucrative business, and there's a lot of folks who are taking a lot of grief that they shouldn't have to. Questions? Comments? Trip?
I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah, you know, and I think that, you know, if both sides work a little bit together, it can improve the situation for the people on the river. But it's kind of like the Wild West out there on Saturday and Sunday. I would recommend to any of you, if you'd like an experience, to roll that river on a weekend. And I think you'll see everything from A to Z out there. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President.
My name's Belson Hicks. I live at 63 Royal Wood Road, my wife and I. And to sort of punctuate what he was just telling you, we live right on the river bank, eyeball to eyeball with all of them. Where all this trash comes from has a lot to do with modern technology. Back when I was a kid, and I'm sure part of y'all, we had wooden bat toes. Go anywhere you wanted to in the river with them. If you had 4 or 5 cans or bottles, you throw them in the bottom, that's where they stayed till you got ready to take them out. With these canoes that they have now, kayaks, when they come down the river, they rip over in the rapids, bottles, cans go everywhere. You will see them slap at them with a paddle like they're going to retrieve them. It doesn't work. They still float right on off. We watch trash come down by us, literally, by the hundreds of pounds, daily. And there is times that we counted how much trash we see. It'll average 25, 30, 40 pieces that we actually see. Now there's probably hundreds that we don't see. So what this thing has, if I understand, got it correctly, is a limitation on the amount of bottles and cans that they can carry. This would be a great step toward eliminating our problem. we've asked y'all to please consider this ordinance and help us out with it. I've talked to state legislatures on 3 or 4 different occasions over the past 20 years. Each and every time I've talked to a state legislature, they talk about discussing it, bringing it before a committee, first one thing and then another, and it never happens on a state level. So what we have to do is come to our community level, which is you, and get something done now. This should have been done. We should have done this a long time ago, as a community coming together and come to our local commissioners to have this done. Y'all please help us out. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, LG.
My name's James McCook. I've had property on Broad River frontage property for 21 years. I was gonna go through all the stuff that Mr. Crowbot and Mr. Hicks went through. I've seen all that. I won't go through it again, but in the 21 years I've been watching, it's gone from inconvenient to intolerable. And now is the time we need to act on this and get something done about it. It's only gonna get worse if we don't do something. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Tim.
Hey there, my name is Bill Hodges and I live on Wildcat Ridge Road up there. That's some river frontage. Been up there probably about 17 years or so. And I was sitting out in the river. We own halfway into the river, if I understand the property line right, so I reckon I could put a barbed wire fence about halfway up out there, but that don't seem right, you know, so I probably won't do it. But I've been sitting out there with my wife, and a bunch of drunks come by, you know, and want to start. What y'all doing, you know, or what does it look like we're doing, you know? So I haven't been a parole officer for a long time. I just I know how to avoid the situation if I can, you know, or whatever needs to be done. But then I was out there with my son and his wife last year, I guess, and it probably wasn't the same old drunks, but might as well have been. They came by again, you know, and she's an attractive lady, and but we didn't call for all that jibber jabber they were trying to give us, you know, about stopping and talking to us and just acting out of order. So those are 2 times something ugly could have happened, and basically it's alcohol, you know. They probably wouldn't do it, you know, if they wasn't drinking like that. But what I believe, and I don't know the numbers. I know Scotty knows the numbers, because if he's going to do anything, he's going to do it right. So I'm going to let him handle the numbers part. But I know that Broad River Outpost makes a lot of money, and I'm not against that. I'm all about making money the right way, and got no qualms about that. But let's just say I've counted his cars before. I see the turnover in the parking lot, and so I know he's got a piece of money in there. But let's say he's got however many boats he's got on there, and then I decide, or somebody else comes in here from Atlanta and says, wow, that's a lot of money on that river there. So they open up an outpost, you know, and it's unlimited evidently what we're doing, you know, there's no limit on it. So then somebody else opens an outpost, you know, and then pretty soon there's clogged up out there. It looks like Six Flags or something. I just think that, like Scotty's saying, and like James said, that now's the time to do it. You know, I'm sure Helen's got some kind of ordinance about, you know, they use their river, and it's very nice. I don't think I can take a cooler up there at Helen when I get in there, dude. And I've seen it, like that gentleman said, there's no, they got to sit on top kayaks now. So when you tip over, your stuff is gone. You know, the can, I see the cans on the bottom. I'm sure they're broken bottles. I never hardly go in there barefooted, because I'm afraid of stepping on glass, but I just think now's the time to do it. And if there's a way that we can do it where everybody's happy, you know, before it really gets ugly out there, then, you know, we ought to really consider it. I know that, you know, when you get these packets and you look at it and you know, maybe it doesn't affect you, maybe you don't get on the river, but we kind of are our brother's keeper. You know, if somebody's got a hazardous dump in their backyard, I might not see it, and it might not drain into my backyard, but it might be your brother's backyard, or your brother-in-law's backyard, or your sister's backyard, you know. So I think we need to take a look at this thing. If Scotty's got a good thing going, then maybe we need to consider it. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Hey y'all, my name is Addie Haynes. I'm a senior at Madison County High School. I'm a part of the Environmental Club and part of River Cleanup. Everybody has something that they have when they're growing up. Some people get into sports, some people love to draw. Mine happened to be playing in the dirt outside. As I got older, I started to realize how much trash lined the river, and I never understood why. Since it was drilled into my head, everybody should clean up, do your share. And quite frankly, I still don't know why. A few months ago, we picked up 50 tires and 20 bags of trash out of a 2-mile section of the Broad. There's 25 miles flowing through our county. These are the facts. When I look at the river, I see all the animals that share our home. We have ospreys that are looking for a nest for their babies. We have robust red horse minnows that are endangered and only found in our river. We have even an eagle that I got to see. Those are endangered too. The trash that we throw out damages their home. We share the river as a resource, but I'm not saying that outfitters are abusing their share, but ignorance is bliss. They have taken advantage of our river, and hundreds of people a day throw their beer cans out into these animals' homes. It's the same thing as throwing a razor into your child's parent box. We understand that sharing the river with the outfitters helps businesses, but nobody asked for this. As the next generation of Madison County, we ask that you invest in us by investing in our river. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is John Merca. I live at 786 Roy Woods Road, and both my kids are in the 4-H, and one of the summer things we really like doing is taking the kids down the river and going camping for a weekend. Last few years we've done it with Broad River Outfitters, and I believe there's a place for them in our county, and I use them a lot. I probably paddle the river 50 times a year. But after last year, we're not paddling the Broad anymore. It's just, I don't feel safe taking the kids out there. There's just too much going on that I don't think any of y'all want your kids to be a part of.
Howdy, my name is David Ray Dockery. My wife and I just recently moved to this beautiful place from St. Simon's Isle. We love it up here. We had property down there on the Satilla River, and we're very aware of the delicate balance between recreational, commercial use, and property rights and environmental stewardship. And I believe, I hope, that there's a way that everybody, commissioners, outfitters, property owners, and people who love the river, who don't own property, can come together and protect this amazing, valuable resource. History tells us that it's a lot easier to pollute a river than it is to clean it up. If you own property on the river, you really want it to be clean. But if you don't own property on the river and you just want to be on the river, you want it clean and you want it safe for your children. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, folks. I'm Mike Haynes, Double Branch Road, lifelong resident, river paddler. I'm here to sum everything up. We've heard from landowners. There's quite a few. You're a landowner? We've heard the problem. We've heard from, obviously there's a problem. How big is the problem? That's 911 calls. 133 last 2 years. No reason to go into that any further. Is it a problem that needs addressing? I think so. What are we asking for? Address it. But address it in a way that doesn't, we don't want a punitive measure. I don't think anybody wants to hurt a business. We all love the river. We all use the river. We just need a way to share the river. So So we ask for your consideration in this. There's a problem, needs fixing, help us fix it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey y'all. My name's Sarah Owen. I'm an employee at the Sandbar that's on the Bowes River, and we provide kayaking and zip lining. I hear what all the landowners are saying. I've worked there for 12 years. I've seen everything imaginable, kind of like you said, and some of it's very shocking, but it's also just a very few isolated incidents. And so, you know, I'm concerned that it seems like it's all day, every day, continuously, and that's not been our experience. We were provided with the copy of the ordinance, I believe, Monday of last week. And so I kind of want to talk about some things in here that are concerning to us as a business. The first is talking about not allowing people to take a cooler with them, and that they can only have one metal or plastic bottle, 1.5 liters. It's 96 degrees outside in July. If you send a person with one bottle of water to do a 4-hour river trip, which is, it could take them longer, that water's going to be hot, they're going to be dehydrated. We have customers that are diabetic. We have customers that are cancer survivors, that are liver transplant survivors. They can't go without coolers. They've got to have water. They've got to have snacks. They've got to have things in case they have a medical emergency that they can see to themselves if they have a cooler for their supplies. We also strap our coolers to our boats. We provide that for our customers because a lot of times they look at it and they're like, I can't figure out this bungee. Okay, we'll do it for you, and we'll attach it so that if you do flip, it doesn't fall off your boat. We also remind them they need to keep that cooler zipped so that things don't fall out of the cooler and float down the river. We also tell them that once they are finished with something, they need to put it back inside their cooler so that it doesn't pollute the river. The second thing, our waiver. We have worked on our waiver and worked on our waiver and worked on our waiver. It's really hard to get people to read stuff. It really is. So we try to go over all those things. When we put customers on the bus, we step on the bus and we go over lots of things. I explain to them that all the property along the river is privately owned, that a person's property line extends to the middle of the river, and unless they're the one that owns it, it's not theirs. If there are signs posted, they definitely don't need to stop. They need to keep moving on. If a property owner asks them to go on, they need to be very polite about that. I don't have ultimate control over their decisions. I can't enforce that. I can't make them behave the way I think they should, the way I would, the way any of y'all would. I don't have control like that. But I do tell them. We also don't let them take glass or styrofoam. We never have. We have always, back when we sold alcohol at the restaurant, we always would swap glass for cans to make sure no glass ever got out there. We offer cooler rentals so that they zip, and we make sure you're not going in a cooler where the lid can flip off. We do a lot that I don't think is being recognized in terms of trying to keep trash out of the river. We also always pick up river. Anytime the employees stay on the river, we're always bringing trash back. There's also kind of the idea that the only people putting trash in the river are kayakers. And that may be where a good majority of cans and bottles come from, but I pull tires out of the river. I've seen a refrigerator, a full-size avocado green refrigerator in the river before. Those did not come from our boaters. There's also a lot of people that hang out at the bridges. They leave trash more than anybody else. I never see them walking out with their trash. We'll float by and there'll be trash littered everywhere. Those are not our boaters. We've gotten a lot of rain this season. That means there's a lot of runoff from the roads. That brings all the trash that's thrown in the ditches down to the river as well. So while I do recognize that our boaters do litter, and that does happen, and we warn them not to, and we tell them you will get a ticket if the DNR sees you out there, and we warn them, we tell them he's sitting out there every day because we want him to do right and not make bad decisions, even though he might only be out there one day on the weekend. You know, we do a lot to try to enforce this, but we don't have control over people's behavior. We've had customers be rude to us, and, you know, we've tried to provide them a good time on the river, but they don't want to come in on time, and they want to fuss at us about this, that, and so forth. I get it. I hear what all these people are saying, but we don't have control over people's choices and their actions when they're out there. We do what we can do. We try to be very informative. We try to answer all these questions. We try to fully prepare people and not ever send out anyone that's not equipped to get down the river. You know, different levels of the water, means different people need to go or not go. When it's low, we try to discourage people who may not be in the best shape so that they don't have an issue while they're out there and need somebody to come and get them. We always try to handle that ourselves before we call in EMS personnel, but we also fully cooperate with law enforcement, and we always have. Why? Because sometimes we need them too. So we don't ever want them coming down to our place being like, well, the last time we were down here, they were very ugly to us or rude or uncooperative. We take every person's ID when they check in. That way, if there's ever an issue, Shane has come down numerous times and said, need a person that looks like this. Here are all my IDs, look through them. That's him right there, that's who I'm waiting on. I carried IDs to him up at the sheriff's office when he needed to swear out warrants on people that ran from him. We do everything we can to cooperate with law enforcement. Not speaking for everybody, I just know that at the Sandbar, that's what we do, and we do make a big effort to be responsible so that y'all don't get the brunt of that from customers. Okay. Any questions?
Is there a guide or anybody that goes down continually? That just seems like a real smart thing to do.
It is unguided, and part of the reason is because it is everybody in kayaks. And so one guide, you'd have...
Not a guide to guide people, but a guide to monitor. That's just what I think that... I was really shocked when I heard that there wasn't any of that.
Yeah, it's completely self-guided. Okay.
So the cooler thing is the biggest issue with Sandbar?
What do you mean?
The cooler issue about not taking the cooler?
It's not our biggest issue, but it is one that I do feel like is definitely going to impact the safety of customers. We send families down, 3, 4 kids. You don't want kids out there without a snack and a drink and cold water or cold Gatorade or Capri Sun or whatever it is that they're wanting to drink. So I do think that's definitely one of the things that would really hurt us as a business is, if we have to tell people, oh, you can only take this one bottle with you and that's all you can take. Some people are going to go, well, I can't go. Like I said, we have people who are diabetic. They can't go with just a bottle of water.
They could take a waterproof bag, though, and put the food in there, correct?
Right. But then what if they put other stuff in that bag? Is it my responsibility? Is it our responsibility to search people's belongings? Because I don't really feel comfortable doing that.
Or do you search the coolers?
No. If we see people, when they're putting ice, we provide ice for our customers. So if their lid is off and we see glass, we tell them they can't take it and we make them take it out.
You check IDs for all the people that are on?
All the people that come in, when they sign in, they sign a waiver and have to give us an ID.
Every single person?
Every single person except for minors. Sometimes people will show up, they don't have one. So we either put their name on someone else's ID so that we know who they're attached to. And that's also how we keep up with how many people are out and do we get everybody back in at the end of the night. And if we don't, do we need to go look for somebody? And if so, who are we looking for?
Yeah, as I understand it, y'all are the only outfitter that does that.
That do that.
Are y'all in Elbert County or Madison County?
The business is actually located on the Elbert County side, but where we put in at is Madison County property.
I've never seen anyone.
And I don't think, talking about the 1.5 liter bottle of water, I don't think they would mind if you took a gallon of water.
But the issue would be
no cooler with ice and alcoholic beverages. That's what they're trying to stop, the alcoholic beverages, because there's people that get out of the boats or the canoes onto private property, uninvited, and going into the home residence of the people without the people knowing they're in there. And that, you can't do that.
And I understand that. You can't do that anywhere, whether you're on the broad or whether you're walking down the street. But people make bad choices.
I know that.
And it's not always alcohol-induced.
Well, in the cases I've heard, it was alcohol. People didn't know where they were. And they got out of the river, out of the canoe, onto the private property, into the residence without the people knowing it, uninvited. And the people come in and they're shocked because they hear somebody in my house.
I would be shocked too.
And they were intoxicated to the point they didn't know where they were.
But there's a lot of things that we also can't control with that. I can't control what someone's doing in their car while they're coming down there. If they're drinking a whole liter of vodka, I don't know that. They might walk up and they might be okay, but 10 minutes later, they're falling down.
But it can be controlled. If they don't have a cooler on that canoe or yacht or whatever they're in, if they don't have a cooler full of ice and 2 or 3 6-packs in there, you can control that.
by not letting them have a cooler to go down the river, and let them have a gallon of water if they need it, or whatever they
Then
need.
how are they gonna keep that cold? How are they gonna keep that attached?
You
I don't think-
Chairman,
Yeah.
I mean, I know you go to the Braves game, or you go to a concert, or you go to was it Swanee Music Festival we were talking about earlier? You know, they check those coolers when they come in. They don't rummage through them. They look in. That's something I think maybe you guys could do, is just, you know, look for that stuff, and if you, or even make exceptions for medical. And if you're searching those, you can actually look in there and see if that is a diabetic. You know, if you've got sandwiches in there, if it's got, you know, the alcohol or whatever those 911 calls are for. You know what I'm saying? And I'm liking the conversation. We've got to figure out how to work together on this. I'd like to get Frank Gill involved as well, some of our legislators, because this is state water. It's private property and state water. You know, so
Some of those cases would be life-threatening too, like if they're intoxicated to the point they don't know where they are, and walk into somebody's house with no clothes on and meet somebody there, you know, that could be life-threatening to some of the property owners that are there to enjoy the river and not wanting this kind of thing interference.
Okay, what about the person who takes some LSD before they get on the river? They're gonna be just as out of it. They're gonna walk up there and be just as out of it. I'm not gonna know that they took it.
That's why
small.
these people want to stop the coolers.
But
No
LSD,
alcoholic beverages going down the river.
you can have in your pocket, pull it out and take it right before you get on the river. You know, there's a lot that we can't control. And, you know, I mean, I get that alcohol is a problem. I do. And, you know, for the most part, I don't feel like, in the past couple of years, I feel like our clientele has changed a great deal. Like I said, I worked there for 12 years, and there were several years in there where it was like every fraternity in Athens came out to the river for a party. And that has changed for us, and for us, it has changed a lot. We definitely get a lot more families now, which is better for us. They're definitely easier to deal with and much more pleasant. And we would like to have them all the time. And so that's part of the reason that we do as much as we do and such an effort in it, is because we want them to come back. We want the river to be a clean place that they feel like they can take their family and go down and have a good time. If we have people acting a fool out there, it's just as damaging for us, for those families, because they don't want to come back for that.
That's what we want to stop.
You know, and we send 4-H groups and church groups. They don't want to be out there with that kind of stuff either. And so, you know, I'm hearing you, but I just think that if you are not allowing people to take a cooler, and then if you're saying, well, you can take it, but you can't, you know what it's like telling one kid at school they can do something and the other one they can't. It's World War III, and I can't say to this person, well, this person has diabetes and they have to do it, or this person has this, because this person has entrusted me with their medical information. It's not my place to tell somebody else. So it puts us in a really bad place if we're required to police all of this.
But doing that, Sarah, do you think that'll run off the bad ones instead of run off the good ones? You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I kind of feel like, you see what I'm saying? And I'm trying to work this out.
Yeah, and I mean, I also think that sometimes people are just sneaky, and they just find new ways of doing stuff. Like I said, our clientele has really changed in the past several years. And so we've dealt with a lot less issues from our own customers, just with us personally. You know, and I think part of that is because we did kind of get a little more hard-nosed about some items. But I think the cooler thing is really restrictive, because that is something a lot of our customers, they come in and they say, oh, you have dollar cooler rentals, that's great. I didn't know how I was going to carry water with me, or Gatorade, or snacks, or whatever it is that they wanted to take. I think that is going to make it very difficult for a lot of people to go out there. It's very hot. Average trip time is at least 3.5 to 4 hours, especially for people who are inexperienced that don't really know what they're doing, or if the water is low. People that paddle all the time, they can kind of gauge how much they need to paddle, how fast they're at, you know, where they're at on the river, and how much further they have to go. So if they run out of water, it's like, oh, you know, 5 minutes down here and I'm back at my house, or I'm at my takeout or whatever. Other people are like, when's it ever going to end? When am I going to get something to drink? And I've been out there in this situation. It's not pleasant, because you feel like you're going to die of thirst. So I really feel like being able to let people take coolers with their water and their Gatorade, you know, alcohol it is what it is. You know, we're certainly not advocating for everybody to throw a six-pack in their cooler. That's not what we want. But we do recognize we have tons of customers that come down and drink 3 or 4 beers out there in the river and are perfectly pleasant to us every single time, and perfectly pleasant to everybody they may meet.
But where there's one like that, there's 99 the other way. And the other 99 is what's disrupting the property.
And I would say there's more like 99 the good way and 1 the other way.
Sarah, y'all would disagree. It sounds like y'all are doing a better job than some others as far as educating your people going to
The waiver, educating.
I've known you all your life. I know your mother and daddy raised you as an environmentalist.
Yeah.
But we're to the point where something's got to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we were with the poultry or whatever. I think that these two groups need to get together and see where we can carry on. Y'all still been able to make a living and do well, and these people be appeased too. So let's find some common ground somewhere.
Well, and part of our concern is like, what rights do we have as a business to go through people's stuff? You know, and what happens if I check this person's cooler and then I walk over here and they run back to their car because they forgot their cell phone, but really they grab a bottle or a flask.
It's like a Georgia guy, they stick it in the cowboy boots and blocks their underwear and everything else.
But the point is to make them have to do that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? They have to go out of their way to do that.
And a lot of it may be by sending somebody downriver with them, to kind of watch.
I don't know that we feel comfortable putting any employee in that position, honestly, because these property owners have a place to go. Our employees are just stuck on the river. And, I mean, I wouldn't go down by myself and confront somebody like, I know better. I'm going to keep on paddling.
On the ordinance, Sarah talked about it, said do not leave the river except at designated takeout. What does that mean, and how many of those are there?
The only takeouts we have are when you get back to the standby. That's where you're taking out at, which, you're talking about sitting in a boat for 3 or 4 hours. They're not the most comfortable things in the world. You do want to stop, and you do want to stretch and that kind of thing. And I do realize that means you are on somebody's property, and that's when we tell them you were on somebody's property. You need to be very respectful of that. You don't need to sit out and have a picnic and a campfire and leave your trash and that kind of thing. But again, some people listen and some people don't.
And I know it'd be a lot on y'all, but maybe it's you check your stuff in, you check stuff out. I need to see a can, because you got a full can when you left. I know, but...
I'd like for y'all to come down on the weekend. Honestly, you're welcome to come.
I was on the river. I was a naive kayaker. I did it in 2 hours and 59 minutes.
You were paddling.
I was paddling.
Yeah.
And, that's the way I see kayaking. I see it as paddling. I see it as exercise.
Yeah, she sees everything.
She does, yeah.
And, quite honestly, I would say 75% of people were stopped, and just hanging out. And my goal was to get to the end. And my daughter's goal, who had the bride to come, believe it or not, Randy.
I know what you had to hear.
Oh my gosh, the complaining, I couldn't, but that was like, that's the way I saw it. If I know that I'm going to kayak, and that's what I'm going to do. It wasn't comfortable, and I fell off twice, and I had a bum hip. It was hard getting back on. Yeah. But, it did bother me because probably 75% of those people stopped. They were on property. There's trash. I had to get by 5, and with somebody on the river monitoring, you gotta have a backbone. Just like I'm up here, everybody, we have backbones. A referee has a backbone. You've gotta be able to say, there was a group of 5, their language. I was like, come on, we gotta pedal. Sorry, I'm thinking about the bike. But we gotta get past it. It was awful. Horrible. But anyhow, that was just one incident.
So what we're going to do is, this is the statement part. We're going to discuss this here shortly. The other thing I want to point out before you sit down, I appreciate your time. It is a balancing act. It may be uncomfortable, a lot of things, but property rights, there are certain things that are sovereign. And I always want to be mindful of anything that encourages or openly acknowledges trespass. So, and I'm just saying that for what it's worth. I'm a non-kayaker, peddler, swimmer, fisher, so I watch from afar. But I appreciate all the discussion and everything. Anybody have any last questions for Sarah here? Otherwise, we're going to see if there's anybody else that wants to make a comment.
I have one comment I'd like to make, and I suggested before to Brother Moody, but nobody seems to want to do it. when the kayaker gets in with 6 cans, whether they be Pepsi Cola or Bud Light, he has to account for those 6 cans when he gets out.
Yeah, I believe that was the comment here.
The water, if he has 6 bottles of water when he gets in, then he should have 6 bottles, empty bottles, when he gets out.
It's incredibly restrictive for a business. I know y'all think we're rolling in it, and again, I'm not, I just get paid to work there, you know. That's not the case at all, and the manpower that we already have to pay to pull people out of the river, wash life jackets, put up paddles, clean out boats, get canned out of boats for those that have storage inside that seal with a lid, is incredible.
Sounds like you need a pay raise, sir.
I'm paid well because I do a lot and they appreciate me. But it, you know, it's, I can't even speak to the financial burden that would place on the business. I really can't. I hear that in an ideal world, I think that would be great, but I mean, you would severely limit a business right there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Are any of the other outfitters here?
I am.
Yeah. Let's go.
Well, I'm Daniel Walker. I'm from Slowater. And got to see a lot of my neighbors here tonight, I guess, that I don't even know. So it's a good thing I came. I just got this in the mail the other day, so I'm real fresh on this thing. But I've lived where I live for 43 years. I grew up on the river. I'm a pretty good steward of it. And I enjoy it as much as anybody does, probably more than most people. And I wish that y'all would contact me a year ago, but I only know this one guy back here, Mike. Now, he's come out and floated a couple times, but I want to do something about it too. You know, I don't like trash, and I get tired of drunks, you know. So don't think I'm here opposing anybody wanting to do something good, okay? But it's a society problem. I don't know how you fix it. You know, we try our best. The sandbars, they got the best plan of anybody. We try to go as good as we can to follow what they're doing. So I will say that they're doing a great job. It's really just a couple of us running my place. We're up on 29 right beside Georgia Poultry. I don't know if y'all know where I'm at, but I'm in Franklin County, basically. But I have property in Madison County. So we do use a certain section of that. Not a whole lot. And we don't do much volume, you know, as they do down the river. But we're, you know, when you start talking about passing legislation on something that's state-regulated waters, you know, I don't want to see them put a dam on this river myself. That's why, one reason I got into the kayaking business. Because the more people use it, the more people can fight stuff like that, you know. They've ruined enough of our rivers around here, and I want to see this one keep flowing. So that's one reason I got into it. You know, it's a decent little produce stand, you know. I don't know how many numbers they got down there. You know, I don't go down Michael Moody's place and check his numbers out, but, you know, there's not a whole lot we can do as far as funding goes to, you know, I can't hire anybody else. I do everything pretty much myself. I got a manager here. My driver's in the back. My other driver, I'm the driver, he's the driver, you know. We're just small beans around here, so we're all here. But anyways, I would love to help y'all organize some of this stuff and clean up. I got boats, I got shovels. You know, I can help put y'all on the water. We just don't have the manpower to do it. And, you know, we try. We get up all the trash we can. But a lot of times we have to do it when the water is real low and it's out of season, because during the season, we got this small window. We're trying to make as much as we can, you know, and it kills us as far as manpower goes. So I can't hire anybody to look through coolers and do all this stuff. That's impossible, you know. And my business is
I say 90, high 90s, good people. And I do have a few that, you know, we have problems with. They ain't no lie, but that's a society problem. I ain't raising them, and I ain't preaching to them, but I do have to know them off every once in a while. You know, and I don't know if you have any questions for me.
How long does it take to paddle your?
I've got a 4-mile run, and it's all in Franklin County. It takes about 2 hours, and I've got a 2-mile tubing run, and it takes about 2 hours. You know, but my families take kids, and I mean they take little kids, babies, and they go out here, and they tube, and they'll sit out on my property, and they'll sit on my property in the water right there, and they need a cooler. Because, you know, everybody don't have a swimming pool, and everybody can't go to the beach. So this is their vacation. That's what they do. So I'm all for trying to find a solution to this. So, if anybody wants to come see me at my place, y'all come on, and we'll try to fix something, you know.
All right. Thank you. All right.
My name is Katie Heath, and I'm the manager at Floodwater. I'm from Roswell, and so we have the Chattahoochee out there. A couple things that they have done, these are just suggestions that I have. I was in the 4-H group in Roswell High School, and we would go and we would float the Chattahoochee. Some outfitters would give us boats, and that would be like a weekly thing that we would do, and we would go pick up trash, and it was actually a really good time, and we all enjoyed it. It was never a pain or anything that I had to do. Another thing that I was thinking is that maybe if we could get into talks with the DNR, they are already writing tickets for littering. So why not maybe instead of just having a fine for that littering, maybe some community service where they have to come out. Like Daniel was saying, we will gladly provide a boat and a shuttle for anyone that wants to clean up the river. Ours is all in Franklin County except for our tubing, but and Daniel owns all of that property that we tube on. But like he was saying, it's a necessity when you're out on the water. They just are. And a liter and a half is a very odd amount to find. You can't find a liter, like you can find a 2-liter or a liter, but a liter and a half is an odd amount of liquid to find a container for, and it'd be impossible for us to be like, that's not a liter and a half. I mean, that's not going to happen. But I do think that it is a problem, and as everyone has been saying, Daniel and Sarah have definitely said everything I need to. I hear you guys. I hate dealing with these, with everyone that you guys are dealing with, we have to deal with too, and it's terrible, and I have a very short fuse, and I think Daniel is much better dealing with than I am, but we do tell them, our waiver also says, absolutely no glass, no littering. We preach low, leave only a footprint. I mean, that's posted everywhere on ours. We actually have a really good relationship with everyone on our kayaking run for Franklin County, and which I would really like to get to know all of y'all from Madison County as well. And so they always call us, like, directly, if they even have a problem, but most of them love it, and we've never had an issue with the Franklin County, with our part of the kayaking. What we do is send people down after we have large groups or have a most volume day of like a Saturday or Sunday. We'll send groups down to clean up after them. And so we do that on both of our runs.
But it's all volunteers.
It's all volunteers. We can't pay anybody to do that. It's just not going to happen.
Free kayaking.
We're lucky enough to have other businesses that we have, and I do other things I worked at Sanford Stadium for a long time, and I understand that it is really hard to tell to, have somebody, you can tell them to empty their pocket and strip. I mean, they still are going to find some way to get in there, but alcohol is a problem, but that's a society problem. That's not a kayaking problem. It's just, and littering is a society problem. I mean, it really at the next level, I think maybe really preaching it to the kids, and I love the 4-H girls showed up here, that's awesome. Really preaching it and starting there is where I think we're going to make the most impact as far as going forward, just because like Sarah was saying, there's tires, there's chairs, we pull them out all the time. Daniel and I are constantly cleaning up the river, constantly. And they're not bringing tires down or a refrigerator, or, you know, so it's just different. The litter in the river needs to be addressed, but I think the cooler, banning that, or having us to employ another person from March to October, which isn't even our season, it's Memorial Day to Labor Day, so that'd be 2-3 extra months that we wouldn't have to actually have, we're not even open. But I think that's putting a Band-Aid over a bullet wound. It's just going to really cause friction between, I think, the landowners and the business owners, but I really want to just work with y'all. But like Daniel was saying, I wish y'all would have contacted us a year ago as well, because Daniel is a Madison County Broad River owner, and he owns the entire section that we tube on. And it would be really, really impactful in a negative way for our businesses if you were not allowed to have a cooler, or if we had to hire extra people. It would really impact us negatively. But thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. My name is James Tipton. I got a little different perspective. I live in Hall County, and we own on the Elbert County side. We started buying property down here in '88 and have continually added to it, and we own approximately a mile of frontage. My view is that we provide that nice scenery that they all paddle by and everybody enjoys. And I'm an advocate for people getting outside and enjoying nature. We love that. But you can, and like that young lady said, a rare occurrence. Every day we come up here on weekends. The good people come down. They come by our place about 1 o'clock. 3 o'clock, you start seeing beer cans float by. The rest of the crowd comes down maybe around 4 o'clock. They stay on the island in front of the center of my property where there's a nice waterfall, nice shoals, very picturesque. They stay there for about 3 to 4 hours till it's, I guess, the last pickup. And we have to endure. The litter's one thing. The language, the behavior, and it's all related to alcohol. And every one of them's an attorney, because you go out there to try to talk to them about calming down, and they tell me I can't do that, that they got this right and they got that right. And all I want to do is enjoy my property. And I heard the comment, well, we don't have enough money to search, or we don't like dealing with the alcohol either. The difference between them and me as a property owner is they're getting so much a boat. I paid for my land. I pay the taxes. You know, we develop it. We enjoy it with our family. And other than about 200 foot of yard, it's just like God made it. It's what everybody wants and everybody enjoys. I just want to be left alone by the bad clients that they have. One other thing I'd point out, we've had no regulation. Since '88, we've had no regulation. We've had no fees that they could charge per boat that could go toward funding some type of law enforcement. I don't pay Madison County taxes, but I'll be one of the few people to tell you, I'll put my money and help fund the officer on holidays and major weekends to be out on that island to enforce Georgia's laws. I'll put my money behind that. I'm ready and anxious to see something done. And when Mr. Edwards invited me here, it was like a sigh of relief. I came down here a few years ago when Moody wanted to have a hot dog stand. Y'all may have been commissioners during that. Remember, that room was full, people were out in the hallways and the parking lot was full. It's emotional. I just wanted to give my side of the emotions. I'll help, I'll work, I'll help fund. But as a property owner, we need some relief, and we've tried no regulation. Why don't we try regulation? Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Natalie. I run the Sand Bar. My father, he owns it and started it. He is a landowner. He owns land in Franklin County on the Broad River. We actually grew up with the North Fork behind us and the Middle Fork in front of us. We love the river. We want it clean. He owns land in Noble County on the river. He owns land in Madison County on the river. And we want to keep the river clean. I'm just going to jump around because I've been making notes. But I did bring our waiver, if y'all want to take a look at it. And it says on there that the land on the Broad River is owned by private landowners. And we get on our buses every day. And we tell everybody, I mean, this is the note I carry with me. We tell everybody the water level and how it's going to be, and, you know, if it's going to be fast, slow, hard to get by, if you're going to get stuck, have to drag your boat, you know, just whatever about the water level. We tell everybody to put their trash back in their coolers. We tell everybody to bring back everything they take with them. Their hats, their sunglasses, their shoes, their t-shirts. I mean, all of that can be lost on the river too, and can be trash. When we put people in the river, we do have, most of the time, 2 guys on the weekends, and then just our bus drivers during the week, because it's a lot less people during the week for us, that if they don't know how to work the bungee and hook their shoes on, you know, if they're not going to wear them, like a lot of people do bring flip-flops, we bungee their flip-flops to the boat. We bungee their life jackets to the boat if they don't want to wear them. We don't want anything lost in the river. We sell croquis for their sunglasses. If they don't want to purchase a croquis, we give them string so they can tie it, you know. Then I have a picture of our cooler that we rent. And it's a small, it's called a 12-pack cooler, but you can't get 12 anything in it. Once you put a few cans in it, or a bottle of water, and some ice, it's not, you know, it's not going to be like a 12-pack's going to fit in it. This is our cooler. I don't know, can y'all all see? It's zip closed on the top and the sides. That's the inside. That's the front pocket where it sits. I mean, you can tell, you know, about how big it is with that can next to it. So we tell, I mean, people do bring their own coolers, but on our website it says it must be a small cooler. It must be a cooler that stays shut. You know, if it has a lid, it needs to stay closed. Then after we get finished with telling them about the litter, we tell them that all the land on the Broad River is private property. If you step out of your boat, you are going to be on private property. If a landowner asks you to leave their property, politely get in your boat and float away. If you fall out of your boat, you're going to be, and stand up, you're on somebody's property. Even in the middle of the river, even in the water, on the sand, you're on property. And we tell them that. And, I mean, I understand you don't want people trespassing on your land. This is my view of when I walk out of my front door in the morning. I live right on the river. The deck goes out over the river. We have people float by our house, and normally that's not a problem. I mean, it's very few people on that part of the river. But we do have people coming down and go fishing on our property. And, I mean, that's a problem because it's ours. And, you know, we don't want people, you know, coming around on our property fishing unless they ask. So, we did have some guys come fishing one day, and, you know, we're like, hey, what are you doing here? And my brother is my neighbor, and he lives right on the river next to me. And he said, oh, your brother said we could come down here. And I'm like, you know, that's kind of strange, but I don't know that he didn't. So we didn't make them leave or anything. Well, the next day when we got up, they had left all their cans, and they were, I mean, it's like a little, I don't know how to explain it, but like a little cubby, where all their cans are in the water, but they stayed right there. They didn't float down, but they stayed right there. You know, I mean, that upsets me. A week later, they came back, and I had already asked my brother, hey, did you tell somebody they could come? And he's like, no, you know, I didn't. So we were like, hey, y'all gotta go. And they didn't leave, so I called Shane. And, you know, Shane and I, we work together, you know. He helps us, we help him. But he came down, and his reason, you know, to go down and talk to them was to check their fishing license, which they didn't have. And so he walked them up, and he said, I was there, and myself and my husband, and he said, these people don't want you on their property. And so they left again, and they left trash again that day. And so I said, Shane, hey, we got trash in the river, and he sent them right back down there to get it up. So I understand. I don't want trash in the river. I don't want trash at my house. I don't want trash at the sandbar, down the river, up the river. I mean, my dad owns the river past the sandbar. We don't want trash anywhere. And we tell our customers that. I mean, along with our speech, we tell our customers we'll keep their keys because we don't want them to lose their keys. There's dogs on the river. And if they play with these dogs, they're going to come down with them. You know, we know they belong to people. Don't play with these dogs. And on and on and on. I mean, we go through this speech, and then, you know, we tell everybody, the last thing we say is, please come back before 7. You know, we like to go home. But I'm usually there from 8 in the morning to 8 at night on Saturday. I mean, we work really hard. But, and we, on a Saturday, I mean, we are busy, and we do a lot of tasks. But we're not rolling in the money. I mean, I drive a 13-year-old car that has 350,000 miles on it. You know, I'd like to have a new one, but they're really expensive. And the cost of running a business, I mean, we have liability insurance. We have 5 buses. We have bus insurance, bus repair, road repair. The property taxes is outrageous. I mean, there's all kinds of I mean, to pay it all in the employees. And all of our employees really work hard. I mean, it's hot outside, and they're not playing in the water. They're loading trailers and unloading trailers and putting people in and pulling people out. You know, and we try to pay them good because they work hard. I mean, we have food costs because we buy food because they don't leave during the day, and we cook for them, so they eat with us. I mean, sometimes they end up eating supper with us, you know. We do sell Gatorades and Cokes, but they drink all the Cokes and Gatorades and waters they want, just because we know they have to be hydrated all day. So I'm sorry, I'm just kind of skipping around.
I'm gonna give you a couple more minutes, okay? Because it's almost 8 o'clock here.
Okay, I understand that, but I do understand that a lot of trash comes from the bridge. I mean, I won't show you all this, but I did go up to the bridge, and I took pictures of people down there. And along the dirt road that y'all live on, I took pictures of people there and all the trash they have. I mean, we have like 10 or 11 trash cans, and there's no trash cans on those dirt roads, and I understand those people are not supposed to be there, but they are, and they leave their trash. And all this rain that we've had this summer, all the runoff has brought a lot of trash down. And it's not just our kayakers that leave trash. It comes from people on the road. I mean, the Mill Shoal Creek that we're on, it's full of trash. And I don't know where it comes from, but it has a lot of trash on it. We do recycle, and we have just taken our can trailers to recycling last week. And we recycled 1,000 pounds of cans. So, I mean, our customers do bring their cans back. They do bring their trash back. I mean, we have a dumpster. We have to pay waste price, you know. Let me just see what else I want to just highlight on for y'all. I mean, we do want people to be able to carry their coolers. I mean, we don't want them to have heat strokes, but, I mean, I understand the drinking, you know, there is a lot of drinking, and I do understand that's a problem. I only know of one time that somebody's house has been broken into. I mean, y'all can tell me if there's more. How many more?
We've been broken into 3 times. Our house has been broken into 3 times, not recent years, but it has been broken into 3 times. If it's been nailed down, it gets gone. Boats have been stolen off the river, you know, it's a common thing. It's not just y'all's fault. We're not saying it's y'all's fault. We're just saying there needs to be regulation. It can't be unregulated. It needs to be regulated so it will help you too. And the trash thing is not just, we'll have cleanup times, and we, with all due respect to Daniel, offering free boats to clean up trash. We've been cleaning up trash after 20 years, and it ain't getting no better.
I understand. I mean, I clean up trash myself. Our employees go down the river on their time off, and we let them go. I mean, we don't charge our employees, and we probably have 15 employees. And I'm not saying every one of them goes down the river, but they go down, and for us to let them go down for free, I mean, I'm like, hey, y'all gotta pull in 10 boats when you get back, and you gotta pick up trash on the river. And that's what they do. I mean, they care about the river too. I mean, y'all gotta understand, we do care about the river. I know y'all didn't see the size of our coolers we rent, but they're this big. Yeah. And maybe not everybody puts the trash back in it, but we ask them to. We do. We make an effort to help for the river to stay clean.
And we appreciate all that you do to help keep it clean, but it's not working. What we have to have here.
But wait a minute, 1,000 cans.
Let me call time out here. Do me a favor. First of all, Natalie, and I didn't get your last name, Natalie.
Sanford.
Sanford, okay. Natalie, if there's anything else, this portion, normally you just talk to us. And,
okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to have it.
No, that's fine. We want to have the discussion. There's a section where we actually do have discussion. We ain't got that.
Okay.
so in the interest, I don't know how much is going to be left to discuss.
Well, I did speak with Shane, and I told Shane, I said I will be happy to, and I know Daniel will be happy to talk with any landowner and try to come to some kind of compromise on what to do. I mean, we do want the feedback, but...
Would you be willing to, you or hire somebody to go around down Roy Woods Road and clean up all the private property? You wouldn't be able to do that. Then we've got to have something to force the people not to carry alcoholic beverages onto the river and pitch them out on the private property.
Who cleans the road? I mean, there's trash all over the road.
We do.
We're not talking about the road, we're talking about the river and the private property owners on the river that are, they're trashing their property, and they have to go out and pay the river.
Our kayakers are not trashing the
I didn't say it was
property
your
on the side
kayakers,
of the
but
river.
what I'm talking about is there's gotta be something about the coolers, because if you got coolers, they're gonna put a 6-pack of beer in there, and when they finish that beer, it's gonna do that.
So,
no, sir.
Well, where do they come from?
You want to show? I'll show you a picture of my cans. I mean, I took pictures of everything. 1,000 pounds of cans is a lot of cans.
okay.
And they come back to us.
I'd like to go ahead, we're going to have to wrap this up a little bit, Natalie. We'll have a chance. Let me make a point here, and if I can get y'all to hang on. We only got 2 items to get through here, y'all, if we ever get to them. Here's what I want to do, though, is I want to highlight for those of you who don't have an agenda in front of you, and this is our protocol here, we have it on this agenda to discuss potential watercraft ordinance. By definition, we didn't advertise, we didn't go out to the world and tell them we were going to vote on this and approve it. So this is served exactly what it was supposed to do. We were looking for the interchange, we were looking for the comments. If it is the board's desire, we'll put this on, we meet a week from tonight, and we can put this on for a vote. But what it will do is it'll give us a chance to, or at a date of they're choosing. But what I want to do is just make sure you understand, this is just for discussion. We wanted to talk, we wanted to get these items out there, these considerations. I've heard the word passion and passionate 2 or 3 times, and I see that. No, you know, not down on anybody. We want everybody to have that chance to speak. So with that, I'm gonna ask the last call, and if anybody's got a burning comment that hasn't been made yet, I'll give you a last shot at it. But and that's either item here.
I will say that, you had asked if we would pick up trash on Roy Woods Road. We don't, and we don't really have any plans to, but the road that comes down to the sandbar is King Hall Mill, and we do pick up trash on that road. I pick it up just about every morning that I drive down that road to the sandbar. I'll stop and I'll pick up cans. I agree, Bud Light is the favorite can and has been as long as I work down there. But we do pick up on that road because we drive down it every day.
That's good, but it's not your responsibility, and it's not their responsibility to clean up beer cans as somebody floats down the river and pisses them out on the private property, is what I'm saying. And if they got coolers, that's what they're going to do.
I got a question. I'm a landowner. If I'm going to get in my kayak and go down the river, does that mean that I can't have a cooler if you pass it? I mean, a personal, like if I'm, I got my own kayak, I want to go down the river and cooler.
So this ordinance is watercraft for hire.
Okay, yes. Just checking.
There are laws already that address littering and drinking and public drunkenness and stuff like that. So we know and appreciate that those exist. This is for discussion to see if there's something that would be a little bit more specific and targeted. I'm gonna press on here, and we're gonna go to item 6 and discuss potential watercraft ordinance. Here's without watering it down and glossing over anything. We've heard some pretty good discussion on this, and again, because we didn't actually we didn't put this out that we were going to vote on this. We can. That's certainly possible at our next meeting, but. And it only requires the one meeting too. I think I had a question from a couple of other people. We don't have to have multiple meetings on this. So at our next meeting or whatever, we can actually take this for a vote. But is there any Commissioner Pethel had brought this issue up, and I really look forward to Commissioner Pethel if he wants to discuss anything further on this particular ordinance.
I think everything has been said that could be said, but what I'm interested in is protecting the people, the property owners on the river when all this trash is put onto them and they have to go out and clean it up. It's not their responsibility, and something has to be put in place to protect those people. Whether it's no coolers or whatever it is, something's got to happen.
Well, it's twofold. It's trespassing and trash. Yeah.
And two, the invasion of the residents when they're uninvited, and they'll go in without their clothes on and in somebody else's house, and it's because of the alcohol.
So all these people that's went in the houses have been from the outfitters? Every one of them?
Yeah.
I can't speak to those, I mean, it would be, you know. I think just to sum up the concerns and the, you know, everything we heard about, of course, the number of 911 calls, like it or not, that's something we deal with, the service that is probably already overtasked. There's the behavior issue, the volume of traffic on the river. Of course, there's the alcohol-related behavior. And then there's the whole issue of awareness, you know, just making people aware of private property and some of the concerns. And it sounds like some of the outfitters are doing that, you know. And then, of course, the last major issue seemed to be regarding litter. So we have all those things, and if there's anything, any of the other commissioners, if you have any other comment or whatever, and like I said, we can entertain, you know, the idea of putting this on the subsequent agenda if you'd like, for a vote.
Well, I appreciate the outfitters having people sign the waivers. I didn't sign anything yesterday. I was going down that thing, and it was away you go. No education. I was a newbie, and, you know, I appreciate you all educating. I'm an educator. I believe in educating at every opportunity. Someone's an educator. So, you know, I appreciate that, because people can learn a lot from that. I think we need to think about that as we move forward as well.
I have one other comment, if I can.
Okay. Very quickly.
Really quick.
It was past the comments section.
I'm sorry, I'll
but
be
go ahead.
really quick. This is a
Sorry.
different approach. We are from the coast, and we moved up here recently, and on the coast, just this July 4th, because of the water quality, the volume of people that come to the beach there, they had to close the beach because the urine and the fecal content in the water was so severe that people could not be in the water. Your dogs couldn't even get in the water. And it's a lot of it may be a volume of people that come to the river that, you know, if there's 1,000 people that get on the river in a weekend, that's 1,000 people that are probably going to pee in the river, and who knows what else. And, you know, maybe there's also, along with the other things that we're discussing, there could be a possibility of limiting the volume of people, because this is a fragile ecosystem, and it gets affected by the amount of human impact on the river. That's all I have.
Okay, well, thank you. All right. Anybody opposed to moving on to item number 7? Sure. Any other further comments? Table this to the 7th. I'm at your pleasure here, whatever you decide you want to do. If you want to put this on a subsequent meeting or whatever for a vote.
Yeah, let's, the next meeting.
So,
You got it, Jackie?
okay. All right. This one will be a little quicker. When we were last month, we talked about, we had a room full of folks about the size of this room. We talked about some poultry regulations and ordinance amendments, and we had one item. Yeah, y'all would like to be part of it? Yeah.
Appreciate you coming, Mr. Bill.
Thank y'all.
Mr. Tom, appreciate you coming.
How are you, man? Doing all right, but
Have to be here to make sure.
It's Mike, man.
That's what I tell everybody.
See you, Curtis.
Okay. All that remained from our discussion was to kind of finalize a definition, something that incorporated when we speak of the vegetative barrier. And there was a reference during our meeting to perhaps some language Hart County used, which in large measure, I think, captured what we were talking about. You have a very brief, and should be a page, you have the brief description of it. Yeah, you got it.
Okay, great, yeah, thank you.
And all we need to do is to actually vote to approve adding this to Article 3, definition of terms.
Yeah, and I think, and I may have, I said that, when we talked earlier today, I said Article 3, I think, let's just look back at my emails, that might actually be better. I think what I talked to Linda about was putting it actually in that 7.1.1.3. Yeah. This is what it will look like though, right?
Yes, it'll be that language, but it'll be at the, basically the point of discussion in the code.
Right.
And then again, that's
7.1.1.3.
Okay.
And that's the section that requires a vegetative or earthen barrier, or vegetative or earthen buffer. And so that language would just go after that sentence that requires it, so that it defines what it is.
There's all credibility with that picture.
So, again, this is more of a housekeeping issue. I don't think there was any, and if there is, feel free to comment on what might need to be changed, but it was just the addition of that language so that we could close that out and have a definition. There is a recommendation at the end of that to keep us from having to police that too closely, though.
Motion to do this.
Okay, I have a motion. I have a motion and a second to add this definition to 7.1.1.3. Any other discussion?
I agree with that definition, what I said.
I like the chairman, just for the record, I do think we need to be a little more specific. You know, with maybe a grass and then a type of tree and something like that, I think it's a good start. Just my comment.
Any other, yeah, I got you. Any other discussion? All right, so the motion is to add this to 7.1.1.3. The vote goes to Commissioner Pepple.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On this, vegetative buffer.
Yes, sir.
I thought we discussed leaving the term earthen barrier out in our last meeting.
Well, it can be an earthen barrier with, are you talking about in lieu of a vegetative barrier?
No, just leave the earthen barrier completely, because who determines which one the poultry house construction uses?
It was my understanding it was either or. It had to be either or.
I think we're gonna.
David Whitehead has a large, from where he actually graded and everything and used that, filtered as just left it piled up and kind of smoothed it over, but, to my knowledge, that satisfies every requirement,
If they got the dirt left over.
Yeah, we don't want people to have to bring stuff in to do that. That was the reason for making it a choice.
Yeah, but I'm still not clear.
Okay.
I'm still not clear as to who determines either or.
I would say the farmer, the poultry house owner.
Well, no, you let the fox guard the hen house, we would do that.
If we go out there and there's not one or the other, I'd say the fox wins. I mean, I guess I don't understand, what is, maybe just, if they have one or the other, is one of those in your mind not sufficient, or?
Well, one of them could be very expensive. The earthen barrier could be very
right, and we're not mandating that by any means. We're giving them, if they've got it and they want to use that in lieu of, then do so. If not, then there's still a requirement that they have some sort of a barrier. If it's not earthen, then they need to have a vegetative barrier then. It's really just the addition of that.
Well, in my estimation of it, the county is getting involved in erosion control and sediment part of the plans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you already have to go through all this with EPD to get a permit to do any kind of earth moving over an acre.
Right.
Okay. Have any of you ever seen a set of erosion control and sediment plans?
I've seen one fairly recently that pertains to a fertilizer plant in the county.
Well, that's not quite as extensive as.
Oh, no, Bill, it's pretty extensive, but I take your point, but I guess my point on this would be if you're right, EPD has the requirements and everything, but, I don't know if you know, in the spirit of the conversation, when, everybody was here the other evening, there was, I don't know if it was a feel-good gesture. I certainly didn't look at it as something to appease people, but there was the notion that most of the complaints would probably be addressed with some sort of a barrier there, and the language that and again, this was not uncommon to a number of our surrounding counties. This language was pulled from the Hart County, as was suggested by Ken Martin, I believe. He's the one that brought up that reference, and we went out and just that portion
I guess I'm looking at it a little bit further down the road because I've done work in Gwinnett County before.
Mm-hmm.
And out there, whatever the site plan drawings call for, you will install it because they have a code enforcement officer that makes sure it gets done. And I'm looking at it like if the county hires a code enforcement officer that says, you know, well, I think you need an earthen barrier right here. I mean, you just add thousands of dollars to the cost.
Right. And I don't think our language would actually drive our code enforcement officer to require that. It's going to say either or. So, yeah.
Maybe I'm picking it, please, but you say either or.
Right.
Who decides the either or? If I decide I want a vegetative buffer, does the chairman then decide that would be okay with this particular site?
Absolutely. I'd agree with you on that. I would.
Yeah, well, if I could jump in, the ordinance says you must have either an earthen buffer or a vegetative buffer. So if you have the earthen buffer, or if you have vegetative, nobody could require you to come in and do the other one instead.
And that's really all, we were just trying to make it, you know, easy. The attempt was to actually give the poultry farmer the opportunity or the option on that. And you bring up, and I don't want to beat this any more than we have, but I'm going to just a second. You bring up a really good point about down the road. It is my hope that we will continue to look at these ordinances and evolve as conditions evolve, because whether it's subdivisions, whether it's, we still have some cleanup to do, and there as circumstances present themselves, you're 100% right. There may be a time when we do need to be that specific, and I'm not saying that's not a good idea. It's just right now that wasn't the I don't think that was the flavor of our meeting the other night. So, okay.
Thank you.
All right. Roads updates, for I'm taking you there, let me just mention that I got a request or a note from Alan that he has 4 traffic counters. If any of the commissioners, if you have any particular road out there that you want to gather traffic count or any kind of information on or whatever, please let me or Alan know. And as a reminder, we need to be looking at projects for the LMIG application. That we don't have to spend the money immediately, but we certainly won't get it until we apply for it. So just as a reminder, more to follow on that. Okay, any roads updates?
No, sir. Mr. Chairman, I've got a dirt road. It's been grubbed and graded and ready to pave for a little over 2 years now.
and I'd like to, ask for bids, to pave Newtown Church Road and pay for it with LMIG money. And that's, I'll put that form of motion.
What's the mileage on that road, Mr. Johnson?
I think it's either 1 1/3 or 1 2/3, I'm not sure. If you know Jay Staines, that's goes by his property.
Aren't we supposed to come up with accounts and all that? Or is there a process? I mean,
Right, yeah, and so what we, two issues here, 2 items, and, and you're correct. We do have criteria that we voted to use in determining the considerations for paving a road. This is a county road already. And then there's also the notion there was an expense associated with a bid too. And so what I would suggest is, I mean, we can take your motion, Commissioner Peltel, realizing that if we were to go out for bid, then we'd still follow that criteria that we.
Going out for bids, I'm not saying if we go out for bids, we gotta pave that road. I'm just, we'll go out for bids, see what the bid is, and then we can vote to whether we wanna pave the road or
was
not.
that the one that was on last year?
Yeah.
So that was, at that point, it was about $400,000, correct?
I can't remember now what it was.
I believe
Might have been close.
Yeah, it was.
700,000 plus LMIG.
Our grant is right at 730,000 of state money. So
And to finish up, I've got that $1 million from our match.
Our match was at 950. 950. But we have a motion, and I'm this will be the first one that I've taken since I've been here. As far as I don't remember whether or not we actually took motions on going out for bids. I don't remember that. Maybe we did. Maybe.
Yeah, well, we have done it in the past. Now, whether this is the right time for that, I don't know. I'll leave that to the board's discretion.
Okay. Well, I would leave it, since it was presented it as a motion. If there's a second on that, we'll go out for bid on it. I'll get with Alan and we'll get some information. But that's a motion to go out for bid on the cost of paving Newtown Church Road.
What is the cost of the bid process normally?
I don't know. There's because of the scope and everything, we're gonna have to, there'll be advertisement. It's a minimal charge, but I just wanna make sure everybody's aware that, we have a motion. Is there a second? I'm not hearing a second, Commissioner Bethel. We'll have to put that one on hold too, and revisit it perhaps in the future.
What I don't understand is we can vote yes on spending $1,200,000 to balance the budget of taxpayers' money, and we can't vote to spend $350,000 to pave a road for the taxpayers. That's just something not right there.
Chairman, if I may, we talked about voting our conscience, and to be quite honest, I can't sit here and listen to someone say something about the tax burden and doing stuff to people, and then turn right back around and pave a road for 14 people. I just don't understand that. I've got the floor, Commissioner. So I've got the floor.
All right.
So I just don't see how we can do that at this particular time. I just feel
Do you see how we can spend $1 million? $2 million,
we need
$2 million
services,
balance the
things
budget.
like that. I'll yield my time if there's going to be disrespect on the board. Yes.
So there's really, since there's no second, then, you know, we're basically through with that, motion anyhow. We could sit and debate it or talk about it, probably wouldn't be productive at this point, though. I would, suggest, is there any other roads update that we need to be, looking at right now?
I had another one, Patton Road, I talked to Alan this afternoon, he's meeting me over there.
What's the name of the road?
Patton Road. He's meeting me over there with the landowner, Wednesday morning. But it's already handled.
Okay. I'm supposed I know where that road is too.
It's off of 172, it joins the Jeff Smith property.
I know where it is now, I do know where it is. Yep. Okay. Any other updates? On the urgent matters, any?
No, sir.
All right, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 statements and remarks from citizens. I didn't think the first statements and remarks would go quite that long, but you five certainly have the opportunity if you'd like to say anything.
I just like to say I appreciate all of y'all devoting your time and energies to trying to run the county business as best you can. I know I'm particularly interested in the poultry part of it, so anything that comes up along those lines,
We appreciate your interest too.
I'll be willing to help out in any way I can, when I can. My wife has been handicapped for the last 2.5 years, so I've been looking after her. But really want to say that I appreciate all y'all's time. I know it's a thankless job. You see what happens when everybody's interested.
We appreciate the wisdom you bring.
Yeah.
That's right, absolutely.
Mr. Simmons, folks. Okay. All right. Any need for executive session?
No, sir.
All we have is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioner Pepple?
Yes. Yes. Yes.